Hello, Dr. Phillips here from the Science Zone. For today's daily dose of science, we're going to make catapults. Yep, catapults that you can make at home and make things fly. To make your catapult, tape your toilet paper tube to one side of the box. You're not going to want to tape the tube in the very center because we're going to use some of that box space. Next, once your tube is secured to the box, make a small hole in the toilet paper tube in the center. Then, place your plastic spoon, as shown in this picture, into the hole. Now, wrap one side of the rubber band around the top of the spoon, and then place your brad through the cardboard. Once the brad is secured into the cardboard, loop the other end of the rubber band around the brad. You may want to duct tape the brad on the inside of the box. These are a few different things you can try. You're welcome to try anything that you have sitting around in the house. I recommend that you try not to use rocks. Now, this is a picture of our catapult locked and loaded and ready to shoot a pom-pom ball. Now that you have your catapult built and we understand a little bit about the history, let's compare your catapult to the mangonel. Remember that ours is simplified, so it doesn't have all the amazing things that the mangonel will. First thing that we want to draw our attention to is the pivot point. That's marked P. And your pivot point is where the spoon touches the toilet paper roll. So it's going to pivot, and that's going to be what allows the arm to move back and forth. Now your bucket is the inside of the spoon, and your payload is going to be whatever you decide to chuck or hurl in your backyard. Probably not your kitchen. One thing that your catapult does not have that a mangonel does is what's called a cantilever type spring. What this kind of spring does is it acts like an accordion that's going to absorb the pressure. So the arm comes up and it hits that cantilever type spring, which stops it and then allows the payload to move on a more calculated trajectory. Okay, remember, ours is simplified. Okay, what's resulting in the tension on ours is the rubber band. Well, again, this is a lot different than what the mangonel uses to create tension, but essentially we're making tension and we're going to chuck things across the room or across your yard. Okay. There are so many amazing things you can do with physics and catapults. We're just going to scratch the surface today. What we're going to talk about is energy conservation. You've probably heard that energy can neither be created or destroyed. It can simply be converted from one form to another. The types of energy we're going to talk about today are kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion, and potential energy, which is the stored energy. The star of our show is the rubber band. Now let's look at an example to help us understand potential and kinetic energy. We've all seen a slide. Right? We all like to slide, I think. So here's our executive director, Steven. Steven wants to go down the slide. So he's first going to climb up the stairs of the slide, and that's energy of motion. So that's kinetic energy. Steven, it's not safe to go down the slide standing up, so you've got to sit down. Okay, now we've got Steven sitting down. At this point, he has potential energy, which is stored energy. All it's going to take is a tiny little push, and he goes right down that slide. And at that point, the potential energy is converted to kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion. Let's go back to our rubber band. So when we stretch the rubber band, that has a lot of potential energy. Now when we release it, ow, that's kinetic energy. So now it's time to shoot our catapult. So when we pull the spoon back, it what you have is potential energy. If you let it go, I have to do this carefully. There we have kinetic energy. Let's take a look at an example of our catapults in motion. Thanks for joining us for today's Daily Dose of Science. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.